I decided it was time to leave the city I was in, which was Lake Havasu City, and I thought I would go up north, head towards Nevada. So I looked on the map, and the next logical city for me to stop in is a city called Kingman. They have a place where you can empty out your wastewater and get fresh water. There's a truck stop there, a Flying J there. So I set my coordinates for that and headed towards Kingman. So about 25 miles before reaching Kingman, I noticed on the right there was this odd-looking geodesic dome, and it looked kind of deserted, like nobody was there, and I was really curious to know what that was all about. So I drove in and I parked, and I right away noticed that everything looked kind of like, first of all, it looks like it was made in the 60s. I think you'll probably agree if you look at the architecture. And then it also looked very spacey, like, like something to do with outer space or aliens or something like that. I mean, that was my first impression. So anyway, I was taking some, footage, some video of the place, and I was walking. There's a little store there right beside of it. And so I was going to walk in there and buy something, just as a kind of a courtesy. I mean, anytime you have any kind of a attraction like that, there's, it's always a good idea to go in and just buy something to kind of help support it. So I was going to go in the store. So I was walking through the parking lot, and this white van had pulled up, and these two guys got out of the van, and one of them looked at me and said, "What are you detecting?" I thought, what am I detecting? Anger, resentment, happiness? And as it turned out, he's looking down at my camera, and he's convinced that my camera is some kind of a detection device. I don't know if he's thinking, metal detector or gamma ray detector or something like that. So then I explained it, it wasn't a detector, it was just a camera. And so we looked at the dome and looked at the sign. On May 20th, 1953, a UFO allegedly crashed outside Kingman, Arizona. The U.S. military may have recovered crash debris and alien corpses immediately thereafter, and may have taken all or part of the material to the decommissioned Yucca Armour Airfield in Yucca, Arizona for investigation. After years of intensive study, this material may have provided the U.S. military with advanced technology useful in the development of classified aircraft and spacecraft. The geodesic sphere located on the grounds of Area 66 houses a museum preserving this unknown chapter in American history. Area 66 makes no claims regarding the authenticity of these events, but rather leaves it to you, the visitor, to create your own reality. So they are not open today. But I was going to say I would just walk up there anyway, but there's a padlock right here. So according to the sign, it was closed that day because this was yesterday and it was a Monday, which was disappointing. And so I thought I would maybe go inside and just kind of confirm that because, I don't, get out that way very often. So I went inside and I confirmed it, and yes, it is closed. And so then I started looking at, the things they had. They had one interesting thing, which was a beef jerky. I think it said Area 66 beef jerky. Anyway, I wound up buying something, just a muffin. Was that interesting lady at the checkout. And so then I went back outside. I'm standing there in the parking lot, and this old guy comes up. He's obviously a local. And he says, "Are you interested in that thing?" I said, well, kind of. You know, I already checked it and it's closed today.
But it was actually built in the 20s. So
Yeah.
it was going to be, at one time it was a real estate office. Then some guys were going to buy it and pick and turn it into a restaurant. The county said, no way, one way in, one way out, death trap. Then an old guy and his wife bought it, turned it into a house with their 2 daughters. It used to be a pool. Yeah, they actually lived in there. And it used to be a pool all the way around the base.
Well, how about that?
All the way around there was a pool?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And they hauled their water out of Yucca here, the town.
Yeah.
And then they sold it to John and his mom, and they turned it into a museum.
I think that's a pretty good use for it
So
because of the way it's shaped.
How many floors is
I think it's got like 3 or 4.
it? Right, like a basement.
Yeah. But everything's done in teak.
Everything's teak in there?
Yeah. I've been in there one time and it was like, oh my God, this is gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's like a bathroom and stuff in there. Sorry?
Bathrooms,
No.
store.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, they had everything they needed. They had a kitchen,
Yeah,
bathroom.
they had everything.
People lived in that. That was a house.
Oh, really?
And they had a pool. Right?
In fact, you can see right there where the concrete is.
They had a pool around there. Really? They built for 1940.
Well, Tricia didn't like it because during the summer it draws bees real bad.
It draws bees.
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, out here, any place you have water, you have bees. Bad.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say because of the shape or something like
No.
that.
I had horses, I had big water troughs. Always had bees around them.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's an interesting story. It is hard to believe there would be a pool around it, though. You know,
it would
that
be.
part. It's yeah. But, yeah.
So,
Oh,
this area at one time used to be a booming mining town.
Huh.
And they had 4 cat houses, 3 saloons, 2 doctors, 1 sheriff with 1 horse, 1 horse town. And it was also a watering stop for the railroad.
Wow. Well, fascinating. Thanks for sharing that. That's
You're
interesting.
welcome. Glad I could.
I guess he's from you know, it's a small town, so I guess he's from that small town, and he in some ways must be proud of it. So, you know, you never know what you're going to find out. So I thought it was a pretty interesting thing. I love things like that. I would have liked to have gone inside. I suppose I can always Google it and see what the inside looks like. According to that guy, it's all teak wood on the inside. But, you know, I'm not too worried about it. It's one of those things you have to be there for that moment and kind of experience it in the moment. I don't really care to look things up later on unless it's really something, you know, really, really interesting. But I was glad I stopped by. It really did not appear that this was a very trafficked place. Like, you know, in the convenience store, all the stuff looked really old, like cans of beans and so on. They looked, I don't know if they looked rusted or not, but they just looked really old. So I don't think very many people stop in there. And so I can understand why they have very limited hours. Anyway, that's it for now. Have a good one.